morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good to hear everybody. So we are here today to discuss on the PropTech trends and opportunities for 2024. We have here a panel of industry professionals who are here to share their insights on the matter. PropTech has grown like anything in the last 2 decades, if you have looked, and it's like the backbone of the real estate industry today. And if you look at the statistics, the number of companies globally, it's like more than 10,000 which are now into PropTech. As per Statista, around 26% of these, companies are now into AI. They are using AI in their, softwares. So what are the trends? So we'll hear more from the panelists, and I'll start off with, directly with the question about how, like you all are leaders in your individual spheres. So tell us about the problems that you guys are trying to solve using PropTech in your respective areas of work. So we'll start off with Abhishek. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, good morning, everybody. So first of all, thank you so much, Realty Plus team, for putting up this event. Now coming to the question, what is the problem we are solving? The biggest umbrella problem is we are digitizing real estate, which was never there in India. It's only a 5-7 year phenomena. So that's the first problem we are solving. Now, how does it help? It helps because an average Indian, and I'm talking about responsibly an average Indian, purchases only one house in his lifetime. Literally, if he's lucky, one house in his lifetime. Please, you cannot make a mistake. If you buy 20 phones, 5 cars, 500 t-shirts, galti ho gayi to okay. But that one house, he doesn't know what's the right house. He doesn't know what's the right price. We are helping him do that, him or her do that. So that's, to my mind, a huge problem we are solving. And now the same thing for a B2B client. Let's say somebody over here wants to open a new office. Do you know what your neighbor is paying as rent? Hands up. Anybody knows what your neighbor is paying in rent? You don't. We know it. So please call us. From now onwards, it's 11 o'clock right now. We should be your best friends for real estate. You want to buy a house, rent an office, buy a warehouse, do anything, call us. So that's the problem we're trying to solve. And I tell my team all the time, we want an award from Modi ji for digitizing his country, our country.
So thanks Abhishek for that nice start. So we'll go to Akhil. So Akhil, in your sphere, what are you trying to solve?
So what we realize, firstly, thank you everyone for joining in this morning. What we realize is that, as Abhishek rightly said, right, like the home buying process is like a once in a lifetime thing that most customers do. And that comes with a lot of emotion, right? So the stakes are the highest. You're putting in your life savings, you're taking a loan for 20 years. Whereas the builder's making a mechanical sale, right? So the builder's job is to get 10% out of the customer, move in and focus on the project, right? And in focusing on the project, they're dealing with capital, sales, marketing, project execution, local government, state government, all that stuff, right? So the builder is very mechanical about the transaction. And therein lies the disconnect, that one party is making an emotional purchase and the other is making a mechanical sale. So Reloy bridges that gap on behalf of the builder. We make the sale personal so that we can get referrals out for the builder itself. So like there's Marriott Bonvoy or Club Vistara. We run Godrej Ambassador, Key Club by Piramal, Club Benefique by Chatterjee. The idea is to get referral sales out for builders. We've done 1,200 crores of referral sales this year so far. And that represents homeowners' love for their builders, right? Enough is said about the big bad builder. Here we are the good side of real estate. We are a company backed by HDFC, Inflection Point Ventures, and several other marquee funds. And yeah, that's about us. Thank you.
Thanks, Akhil. So we'll come to our next panelist, Ankur. So, Deloitte, they are known as one of the premier consultants. So what type of problems and challenges are you trying to solve using PropTech?
First of all, thanks, Sabyasachi. And I'll try to bring a different perspective. So I'll talk about the domain that I focus is construction and project management. And I'll share a quick data. I ran a survey recently, and the survey was on leading 100 developers or the material suppliers working with the sector. And I'll share the data. I was very happy to see that 100% of the respondent, they gave a positive thumbs up when I asked that, are you using tech? And the tech that I'm talking about is actually construction tech or the construction technology. I'll talk about more in the session as it progresses, but to give you a glimpse, the 4 basic areas that I am trying to resolve. One, transparency. So today I bring enterprise solution, which is bringing all the stakeholders on one platform, whether it is the supplier, the builders, or the consultants. So take the example of quality, for example. So if a thing has to be checked, it is getting checked on real time with real time stamping with the proper evidences around that. So where is the question of any doubt afterwards? What's the question of anything which comes as a penalty or a reward which can come in terms of quality? So that's on transparency. Second, it's basically on collaboration with tools such as your integrated scheduling softwares or be it BIM, which is extensively used. You are bringing all the consultants on one platform. So a lot of class detection happening well ahead in time, and that's all because of tech. Third, it's on the visualization. Dashboard, we all are very excited towards seeing a very fancy dashboard, shows everything real time and all, but how this is happening with the use of lot of IoTs, which are capturing the real-time data, which comes after like proper auditing. So if you see it on the dashboard, that's the fact. And the last, so robots are going to make their way. And that's the trend which I see. It's basically the 3D printing, your robotic arms. That's the last pillar that I'm helping. It's basically on the efficiency improvement and real estate on long term. What I see, the faster we construct, is going to be more valuable for everything, be it the developers or be it the homeowners. It's time that we need to ultimately save. So thanks.
Thanks, Ankur. So I'm visualizing the Minority Report, the film in Hollywood, where you had a transparent screen and you are moving and everything is going around, and something like that is happening in real estate today. So very interesting.
The day is very near.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. So we'll go to Rahul now. So Rahul, what are the problems and challenges that you're trying to solve?
Thanks, Sabyasachi. Before I start, I would say thanks to Reality Plus. I'm very delighted to be a part of this panel. All these people are my seniors in the industry and I respect them a lot. I started my career with Deloitte. I was a part of its mergers and acquisition team. I've looked up to ANAROCK, Akhil, Abhishek. All of them are solving very interesting problems. So thank you so much for making me a part of this. We are solving something that's very interesting, and that is also an amalgamation of a lot of things that the panelists are also solving. We believe that 80% of all transactions that happen in India happen via brokers, channel partners, realtors, and that is not going to change. We don't believe in the philosophy of eliminating brokers, because as we know that this is a transaction that happens only once in their entire lifetime. So when a family is investing their entire life savings and they are relying upon an external consultant, that external consultant should have all the power, all the information, and all the authority to point them towards the right direction. What we are seeing is that a lot of brokers continue to come into the industry, and the industry needs a lot of young blood. But brokers which are already there in the market and are coming in lack sometimes the intent, sometimes the information, or are sometimes prioritizing their personal interest. So what we are trying to create is an entire suite of a learning ecosystem that particularly, one, empowers the broker digitally. Basically, they can understand how to solve for demand. Second, industrially, they can understand what is happening in the industry, what is all the supply available, they can participate in it. And third is operationally, how to run their shop. So we are basically creating an entire ecosystem that empowers and creates a new breed of brokers and agents that the customers can trust. We have been able to empower more than about 2,500 plus agents in 18 plus cities at the moment. The idea is to become a trusted platform for more than 1 million plus agents all across the country. On the developers end, what we are essentially trying to solve for, we solve for emerging markets. Like we work with developers in Ongole, Haridwar, Dholera, Dapoli, parts of Pune, parts of Hyderabad, all these markets which can tomorrow become the big cities of the country. And we help these developers become the Oberois and the DLFs of their own city. So we where we go to them with the technology that they can quickly adapt to, how they can apply that technology in order to increase their sales, increase their velocity, and how they can have complete visibility over whatever they are doing, and also have a distribution network which is reliable and can sell their inventory. So that is what we are trying to solve. I come from a family where my dad has been a small-time developer. We have made money, lost money while being a broker, while being a developer, and also as a customer. So this problem is something that's very, very personal to me. Essentially, I always say that what we are trying to create at Propacity should have already been created by now. But if it hasn't been, then we would definitely want to do it. And if you want to interact with some really solid Propacity power brokers and you want to invest in these emerging markets, I'm here.
So thanks Rahul for those insights. I think we are doing a fabulous work in matching the supply demand and how it can be taken forward. Now coming to our next panelist, Sunil. Sunil, you come from a background of consulting and real estate and technology. So tell us about the problems that you're trying to solve at ANAROCK these days.
Great. Thanks, Sabyasachi, and thanks Realty Plus team for having us here. Thanks for clarifying that we are sitting alphabetically and not increasing out of order of age. I was worrying that that was a criterion, but thanks for that. Hey, but thanks to everyone for coming here. I feel pretty emotional when an industry moves from being a manpower, material heavy to knowledge and data heavy. So PropTech forums like the one we are having here are steps in that direction. So thanks for getting us together. ANAROCK is a slightly diversified group, so we are solving 3-4 different problems. I'll pick up the flagship problem, if you may call that, which is we are trying to help large and medium-sized real estate developers to sort of run their sales, marketing, and customer experience processes with more efficiency and effectiveness, which means with higher throughput and minimum cost. So we have used PropTech to try to solve this problem. We have built a CRM about 6-7 years back. We have actually built a Salesforce for the real estate, and which gave the single view of customers, which is almost a hygiene today, but we built it 6-7 years back. And that itself increased efficiency. And I'll share some metrics. We track sales efficiency by number of homes sold per salesperson per month. So it was 0.9 in 2018. It went to about 1.75 in 2021. So in 3-4 years, we doubled the sales efficiency of the process simply by having a single view of the customer through CRM. We, of course, put a digital marketing engine on top of the CRM with a feedback loop from sales to marketing, which helped us monitor marketing spends and hence sort of optimize the marketing costs. And since we are collecting data for the last 6 years, we are sitting on top of big data. We have got 6 million customer inquiries, which have resulted in 72,000 homes being sold. That famous 1 to 1.2% conversion, which just doesn't seem to go away. So actually, there's a giant spreadsheet in my CRM with 6 million rows and 64 fields, because these inquiries, which are called leads outside in, they interact with the call center, with the salesperson, and all these interactions are recorded in the CRM. So it was obvious that 3-4 years back, we started developing predictive AI models. So we built a model called Astra, which has got 2 types of models based on the history. The 6 million inquiries giving 72,000 bookings. We found regression relations between the input and output, and we built this model. So the Platinum model predicts at the top of the funnel. The moment you fill a lead, it says your score is 83. So that gives more focus to those customers. That's one model. The Phoenix model, on the other hand, scavenges on the 99 leads which don't convert, right? 100 leads coming, 1 converts, 99 don't convert. So it sort of scavenges on those, and from those 99, it reintroduces 10 false leads. So leads which the salesperson should have considered, but they didn't do that. And out of 10, I'm happy to say that we convert 5 to 6 now. So our revenues, out of our revenues, 6% comes from leads which the sales people had thrown away, and the AI models went and reintroduced it back to the sales guys. So that's how we're using PropTech to solve the biggest problem for real estate developers, Sabyasachi. And I'll talk about the last salvo, Gen AI, in more detail when we come to it.
So thanks, Sunil. I think we are right there and we are moving forward. Now, just looking back a little bit, if you look at the construction and real estate industry, so my question would be to start off with Rahul. If you look at our industry, construction industry is not that digitized, the real estate industry. Uh, Banking, if you look at that, the ATMs came long back and everything, but we are slowly picking it up. So what was the challenge because of which the industry wasn't digitized, and how are the trends changing? So if you can share some insights on that.
Um, One of my mentors told me that the founders are not bigger than the market, right? And there is a time when a market has the opportunity in which the adaptation and the adoption of the technology happens automatically, right? So I believe that last decade was a lot of developers going through a lot of governmental policy changes, right? So technology was not something which was at the forefront because one thing after the other was coming in. So first thing that happened was COVID, right? Where a lot of these developers started realizing that technology is really important. But I say that we are still at a very infancy stage of prop tech in India, and there's a long, long way to go. You rightly said that banking is something which has been digitized to a great extent. And I would like to define the problems in technology adoption with 3 A's, as what I say. One is awareness, second is application, and third is acceleration. So I'd expand on all three of them. So I think that awareness when it comes to technology and what technology can do for developers is also something that lacks a lot. Like we are talking about a CRM, generative AI, we are talking about accelerating sales velocity, educating brokers, all of that is there. But still, why this is not getting accelerated? Because a lot of time gets into educating the brokers and the builders on the other side upon what technology can do for them, right? And then they understanding that, yes, okay, this is something that we would definitely want to adopt. And then you basically helping them go through that entire process, right? So like in banking and mutual funds, all the PropTech companies came together and started this campaign, mutual funds sahi hai. I think हमें भी एक campaign start करना चाहिए, PropTech ज़रूरी है, right? That will accelerate the awareness of PropTech all across, so that these people can also understand, the brokers and the developers, that what PropTech can do for them. Second is the application. So basically, developers understand technology, but they say that, boss, I don't want to use technology if it takes ages to integrate within my ecosystem. I do not want a learning curve upon what you're introducing within my ecosystem. And also at the same time, I don't want my sales team to go through that entire process and hamper upon my sales. It's okay to run upon an Excel sheet. It's okay if I will continue to operate upon a pen and paper. I understand the value that you bring on the table with the technology that you're bringing in, but I don't know how to use it, and you're going to take up a lot of time. And this is something that we realize. We also create this entire ecosystem, the CRM, some predictive AI models that we are working upon. But we realize that developers don't want to use it because we used to go to them and say that it will take about 15 days, 20 days, 30 days, 6 months to deploy. We reduced it down to about 48 hours, and we saw the adoption of technology increasing massively, right? So the intent on the brokers as well as the developer side is massive. You as a founder has the job to make sure that you're able to create your technology in such a bite-sized manner that it doesn't create a learning curve on the other side, and the application of technology is accelerated. Which brings to the third part, which is acceleration. Like, the technology in itself is not exciting. The value that the technology brings on the table is what creates excitement and what will create adoption. So unless and until you have a clear use case of what this technology will lead to in terms of saving their time or helping them make more money and how, the adoption will not happen. So I work with a lot of developers. So we don't work with developers which are primarily very large and tier one. And convincing these lalajis in tier two markets is even more challenging. But while we are working with hundreds of them, we are realizing that there is definitely a lot of intent. And a lot of developers coming on the other side and saying that, hey, can you help me sort my pre-sales processes, post-sales processes, increase my lead efficiency, sales efficiency. So we are also facing a lot of challenges there. But if you can solve for application of the technology and deployment in a very less amount of time, I think we'll take a big leap there.
Right, right. Thanks, Rahul. In fact, to add on, I also feel one more thing, that with the advent of the smartphones, I think the reach of PropTech has increased like manifold. with 4G, 5G coming in, and now that has created an ecosystem where developers can develop app, and then there are consumers who can consume. So moving forward on our topic, I'll go next to Abhishek. Abhishek, you've been into research and analytics earlier. Are there any specific areas within the real estate, that you feel that there will be a lot of disruption and change going forward?
Has there been already or will there be?
Will there be? What trends do you look at that already happening, and going forward, what will happen? What do you expect?
Uh, so I mentioned this in some other forum the other day, that if you pick up a Hollywood movie or any movie, 30, 40 years back, or maybe 50 years back, people would use paper to sell shares. Anybody over here has bought shares using paper? Is it all online now? Anybody wants to raise their hand? Have you bought a share using a paper? No, thank you. You have bought a paper recently? Are okay. Anybody has bought a cinema ticket standing in front of the cinema, or is it all online? Okay, so one person. Thank you. This will happen to real estate. Mark my words, blockchain is happening to the world. Blockchain will happen to India faster than we can think. And people will give their token amount on my app. Index tab pe log ghar kharidenge, and or any other app. I'm not saying it's only me, but this will happen to real estate. And I think just wait for this to happen. Look at the young Indian. The nariyal pani, the sugarcane juice, the cell phone, people are buying everything on Amazon. Why can't they buy a house or a token on online? That's the revolution that's going to happen. And India will do it first.
Okay, great, great. So thanks for that encouraging words. I think, with technology coming in, the cycle of every deal and everything will also reduce. And that's what we are seeing with PropTech coming in. So circling back to, Ankur. Ankur, you have been in the forefront of delivering mega projects. In your opinion, how is PropTech helping in terms of, cost savings and operational efficiency?
So thanks for bringing cost now, and to add to Rahul, who mentioned about what's the benefit. So benefit lies in the bottom line. So that's cost. And when I think about cost, my mind goes back to the Newton's third law. For every action, there has to be an equal and opposite reaction. So if I want to save cost, so where I'm putting my effort? So what are the biggest consumer or the cost factors in the real estate? It's the material, okay? And when I talk about the operational assets, it's the energy. Let's deal one by one. So let's talk first construction. So it's been seen earlier also when we talk about automobile, we talk about manufacturing, it was the assembly line which brought the efficiency. When we talk about PropTech or use of technology, the first complaint that I have heard about is there's no economies to scale. And what I understand from my background of engineering, economies to scale can only come if you have a repeatability that will save your wastages, so you will be more economical. And the best way to do that is on assembly line. So if you can imagine your house getting constructed away from the site, and that's where actual cost saving is going to come. And the trends are in front of you, only it will get more stronger. So I spoke about 3D printing and robotics. There are prefabricated or the ready-to-use materials. So these are the new phase or new technology, which will basically result in construction cost saving. Now, let's talk about the operational stuff. So we have heard a lot about your building management system that we do automation, the lighting management system. So by the way, the survey which I mentioned, almost like I would say 70% of the developers, they raised their hand when I spoke about what's the common thing or across the sector which is currently happening. So it was lighting management system or the lighting management to save the overall efficiency of energy. But if you see, it is still more of reactive than proactive. And why I say that, it's still based on a lot of sensors, which are not still enabled with AI or machine learning. So that's something which is required. And I'll give you an example of that. So CCTV camera, everywhere it is there. And it's the least or the most common thing that everybody uses. But what if I put a AI and I do a machine learning that in the evening, when the last employee goes from the floor, please tell all the robots to come and clean this floor. So that's what comes for the cost saving, because I don't need now my manpower for housekeeping. I don't need an instructor to sit there at the 8 or 9 p.m. in the night to see that the last person has gone and now I have to switch off the light. All things can be changed to automation. And there are a lot of technologies which are coming up, and that's the trend which I see. So we need to basically now challenge the obvious things. Whatever is there in the building, it needs to be questioned, that what's the purpose, how it is basically helping us to digitalize everything and effectively reducing the cost overall.
Thanks, Ankur. I think we'll see a lot of those, new robotics and stuff coming forward. Moving on to Sunil. Sunil, you are working for a very established, giant in the industry. How can such established companies leverage, prop tech innovations like AI to stay, competitive in the market? And how is it changing the customer experience? If you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I'll talk about AI a bit. Since I spoke about predictive AI earlier, I'll talk about generative AI, but let's hold on to that for a minute. Being in, seeing the industry for some time, seeing the evolution of PropTech also, coincidentally, last 20 years has been a series of adoption of new technology interventions, as I call it. Thankfully, these are innovations when they were introduced. Thankfully, they became hygiene. So right from the search and discovery in 2003, 2004 to Meta and Google coming in with their suite of sort of online selling, if you may. And then there was a burst of efficiency enhancing through CRM, LMS, ERP. There is AR, VR, which came up in the pandemic time to digitize the process, to try to do something online, which is Abhishek's metrics dream, that finally homes will be sold online. It's a step towards that direction. And finally, AI, predictive AI I spoke about. It has got multiple sort of ramifications, robotics, autonomous sort of driving, etc. Things which Ankur spoke about are also prevalent. Coming to Gen AI specifically, which is the GPT, the generative pre-trained transformer sort of models, this is different this time. And I've been in industries in stockbroking and where we kept on saying this is different. This time it's different in a way. And we are 6 months into building our own Gen AI model. So I can say with some conviction, and I can talk much to the chagrin of my technology teams, I'll talk a bit about what we are building there. So Gen AI in its basic form or basic use case is an intelligent chatbot, right? Which I think everyone and his dog is trying to build now in the last 6 months, or at least they're talking about it. So the chatbot, which was there for the last 10 years, has now got some intelligence injected into it through the Gen AI. Gen AI is conversational, so the input to a chatbot 10 years back was a decision tree that we used to give. Okay, hey, if this question is asked, then this is the answer. If it goes in this direction, if then else, you have to answer this. But now we are feeding a couple of documents to our Gen AI chatbot. One is, of course, the project document, which is the development project. So this is a tower with and all its competitive selling factors. The second is our CRM data itself. So if a customer has visited the project, he or she has interacted with someone, he has come twice, the second time with his family, what is the conversation he or she has had, that also gets input into the chatbot, and the chatbot then marries all this data and makes the conversation very intelligent. Again, going back to the 100 leads converting to one booking, the 99 guys who are not converting, chatbots now have the power to keep on talking to them almost stealthily through WhatsApp, for example, and then pick up 7, 8 of them who were serious contenders, but for some reason they dropped out, and then send back to the sales channel to close again. So that's a very, very basic use case of an AI-powered chatbot. McKinsey brought out a 84-page report in November 2023, which is 3-4 months back, on the quantitative impact of Gen AI. And then they said, hey, AI itself was supposed to add about $10 trillion to the global GDP. 10 trillion. You remember GDP of India and UK is 3 to 4 trillion. Gen AI is supposed to add 3-4 trillion more. So that's the sort of impact McKinsey sort of feels. And of course, they have spoken to 500 people, McKinsey being McKinsey. And they have said that, hey, they have out of 16 processes, there are 4 processes which will have the maximum impact. And I'm sort of taking the liberty of talking about Gen AI on behalf of the group. So that's Wholly Hearted's customer care, obviously, the interaction with customers, sales, marketing, and then software engineering. So these are the 4 of software engineering, both product development and services. So these are the 5 processes where Gen AI will have the maximum impact amongst all the processes in any company. And it's already happening. Sales and customer experience, the chatbots are talking to customers. They're trying to sort of solve their problems offline and adding to the sales efficiency. Whether this will, and this will clearly increase sales efficiency. We'll have sales guys focusing on higher end value added activities, whereas the chatbot will solve the mundane discussions and qualifying of the lead. So that's what we are doing, Sabyasachi, in some way on the AI front. And I think this is going to really add value to the industry.
Good to hear that, Sunil. In fact, so basically, we are kind of bringing in tech employees, tech bots into our system to support in our business. So moving on, my next question to Akhil. So there's so many startups coming up with new prop tech and stuff, and they're developing. So what would be your advice to new startups which are thinking in developing something in prop tech, and how will you drive like new adoption, okay, of the new technologies?
So we've been in this space for like 9 years now, right? Like we've been purely in prop tech for the last 7. And I've had the pleasure of seeing this entire industry go through the down curves and the up curves and like the everything in between, right? Like now, what I've noticed about this industry is that this industry rewards truth in its own way, right? So our single point of truth was that we are not a broker, we are not a lead generation engine. We are here for the industry. We are building an institution for the industry, which helps the reputation of the industry on one side, and we actually do some work on the broker front as well, and creating transparency for brokers on the other, right? Now, the idea of that trust, the builders that we manage today we've gotten to a scale where we are managing 1.5 lakh apartments in India, right? That's properties worth 1.4 lakh crore, where we know who's bought, where they bought, what it's worth, etc., etc. We are managing 30,000 brokers across the country, where we know exactly what transactions are going on, and with what velocity they're working with each of these builders, and what is that thing, right? And this is hard real-time data that we're getting. Now, is this data valuable? Yes, it is. Are we going to use it in a way that is not in the interest of the builder? Absolutely not. In 8 years, enough has happened, right? So COVID 1, COVID 2, the slowdown of real estate after the IL&FS crisis. Through all of this, we had multiple opportunities of pivoting and becoming a broker or selling or using that data. We stayed true to what we do. And that's my advice to any prop tech founder that's coming in today, is that stay true to what you do. Don't pivot at every instance, because this industry requires resilience, right? You have to persist. No one is magically going to adopt your solution the second you launch it. There's no magic wand in this sector, right? The project lifecycle is 6 years. Be patient to deal with the builder for 6 years also. And that is the most fundamental truth that you need to know to get into prop tech per se.
Thanks, Akhil. I think that will really, motivate a lot of, those people who are developing prop tech. My next question to, Abhishek. Abhishek, what is your opinion on the government policies? How are they helping, or it can help prop tech growth story in India, and how it can support in the further digitization of this real estate industry as a whole?
So I have something very genuinely as a proud Indian. and a real estate observer to say, we don't need any policy from them. We just need one thing. Just make infrastructure at breakneck speed. The more infra you make, the more land becomes available for more houses, more offices, more warehouses, more of everything. Right? I can give you simple examples. Atal Setu. Now you just wait for 2 years and the new airport, what it will do to Panvel. Second, the bullet train, jab banegi. Look at what happens to Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar. You will be in Ahmedabad faster than Borivali.
Right.
Huh? Cuff parades, jao na Borivali, dikhao na. You won't reach in 3 hours. You'll reach Ahmedabad faster. Right. Number 3, one Ram Mandir. Look at what happened to Ayodhya. Yeah. I just need infra from our government, and that's all I need.
So that's good to hear. I think.
I'd like to add to that.
Yeah, please.
What Abhishek has just said, I think the problem of developable land needs to be solved as of yesterday, right? So we work only with developers which are identifying newer markets, and the only thing that they have said is over the last 5 years, real estate has stayed the same, but the new city ka opportunity बढ़ गया है, right? So when you look at a market like Dholera and the expressways that are getting built, or you look at a market like Haridwar and you see the Dehradun-Haridwar expressway, or you look at Ayodhya, or you look at, like we work with a developer in Ongole, which is just a total population of puri market ka 5 lakh hai, and this developer is creating villas worth 3.5 crores in Ongole, right? Only because he is now tapping upon Hyderabad and multiple other major cities which can come there and find peace, right? So he is absolutely right about the fact that if the government can solve for infrastructure, then developable land gets solved, new developers come in, and all of us can thrive.
Right, right. So good to hear that. One more, thing that I want to, hear the views. Maybe Sunil can give his opinion on that. How can, PropTech solutions enhance the transparency and trust between the real estate stakeholders, such as the buyers, sellers, landlords, and tenants? Because wherever we are seeing, these kind of transactions, there is always a human intervention. So if the PropTech, has like adoption has to increase, then how do we increase the transparency and everything?
So great questions, Sabyasachi. Trust and transparency. So we have come a long way from 1990s, right? When I think the sale and purchase of homes, for example, be it new or resale, was sort of laced in a lack of transparency, information asymmetry, and almost opacity, if I may call it. The online search and discovery platforms started helping in that. Thankfully, there was a injection of regulation there. RERA disclosure norms also helped in sort of making it more transparent. As we are sort of moving ahead, the security of transactions, the blockchain which Abhishek spoke about, I think all those will work in tandem to sort of move towards a more transparent and trustworthy environment where transactions can be done. More and more stuff has to be digitized. I think companies like CRE Matrix, Zapkey have done a fantastic job in putting agreements, registered agreement data there. So if you're buying a home, you look at the last transaction done. You actually know the price of the transaction that's being done. So that's a huge step for a home purchaser. Similarly, land records are getting digitized as we speak. So everything will be there in the click of button, and there's more information coming in the hands of the buyer or the seller, as you may. So these are the steps that's already sort of in the works. And as we go forward, the data that's being thrown up, the analytics that's coming out of that, will only keep on helping the buyer to take more informed decisions. So I think we are in for good times, and I think the era of mistrust about 20-25 years back, cloaking the entire industry, is sort of giving way to an environment of higher trust. It's still some time before we get full transparency in this sector, but I think that there are good steps on the way, Sabyasachi.
Thank you, Sunil. So he mentioned CRE Matrix. You want to add on something to that?
Thank you, Sunil. As I said earlier,
yeah.
The word that has been missing in real estate for many, many years has been trust, right? Trust has been missing.
Yeah.
Data can bring that trust. If we can bring trust in the hands of the home buyer, he'll just feel more comfortable buying his house.
Right.
And बीवी से डंडा कम पड़ेगा.
Right. Great. So, touching upon one more aspect, basically the sustainability front. Okay. So, my question to Ankur, maybe, Ankur, how can the PropTech solutions help address the sustainability challenges that are faced by the real estate industry, and what opportunities exist for companies in this space?
Important topic. So discussion cannot be completed without bringing sustainability. And that's the new mega trend actually globally. Everybody talks about their pledge that they're taking for becoming net zero, becoming green. Now, these days, everything comes in green actually. So, but I'll talk about, as you mentioned, the opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So let us see it in this lens. I come from construction and project management. So I'll talk about three important phases. So the first phase is design. So a lot of platforms are available where you can basically simulate your building before you give your instruction for construction. So you would know that what's the emission and what's the consumption for your building. But when you come to construction, that's where the problem comes. That when you are actually on the decision table, and suppose you are buying an elevator and you have three proposals in front of you, which one you will choose? One will claim I am single green, someone will say I am double green, someone will say I am triple green, but that's where the paradox starts. Now, what if I place a layer of tech on that, and out of that one supplier opens up an app and shows you that these are my elevators and these are my efficiency, which are currently on establishment, it's working. That will make my decision much more faster. So I am talking about the real-time capturing of data in terms of your efficiency, where you are actually giving proof to the pudding on what exact benefits that are coming out of your sustainable solution. Because sustainability still, Sabyasachi, it's more of theoretical. When people talk about being net zero, a lot of them don't understand. So if data is provided, and that can only be possible with tech. So to me, if somebody is talking about sustainability, it cannot go without tech. So it has to be there. And same basically flows when you go to operational assets. And a very big gap which I see in operational assets is we are completely forgetting about the assets which are already there. Take example of this asset itself. While we entered, we complained about the HVAC. But this, again, PropTech has to come up and do a retrofit. So retrofit is a very big opportunity which we need to capture. See, whatever new will come, it will come with a new solution. But at the same time, we should not also leave behind the facilities which are already existing.
I agree completely with you, Ankur. And in fact, I've been meeting a lot of service providers who are into IoT and stuff, who can retrofit the buildings, and they are claiming that they can reduce the energy consumption by up to 30% with the help of some fuzzy logic, some technology that they have implemented. So thanks for those inputs. So now, coming to the rest of, I think we are coming towards the end. So before we go to the next few questions, maybe I would open up the questionnaire to the house. So if anybody wants to ask any questions to the panelists, yeah, please.
Hi, let me introduce myself again as well. My name is Sandeep Saad. I head a company called Mumbai Property Exchange and Propai. My question to you, Sunilji, is that data is the genesis of PropTech and so on and so forth. You mentioned very interesting figures, 6 million leads and 72,000 closures. I see a big disconnect here because I feel that there has to be something done to the buyers to key in the right data and to be specific about their needs and requirements. So then the AI tools can really perform much better than the numbers of 1 or 2% they are right now. What's your thought on that, and what can be done to bridge the gap to help the consumer take a decision more quickly, easier, and be more filtered in his approach and have a genuine requirement? What can be done on that aspect? Maybe from an education perspective, or any other thought you may have on this one?
So, interesting question. Thanks for that. Hi, can you guys hear me? Yeah, so this sort of cursed funnel of 100 inquiries giving one booking is sort of not a real estate problem. It's a insurance problem, mutual fund problem, stockbroking problem as well. And I've tried to solve those problems in those industries as well. I've worked in telecoms and BFSI before. So it's not a problem per se. It's each home buyer leaves a lead in 3.5 sources, 3.5 portals. That's what we analyzed once. So if you want to buy a home, then you leave a lead in Google, Facebook, Magic Bricks, 99 Acres. So it's a pretty big ticket size decision for the customer, and that's why the other fact which people talk about, that if you don't call back in 3 minutes, then the chances of you losing the deal goes down. It's because the buyer has left leads in 3.5 platforms. So there is decent choice, I would say. I'm not really sort of worried about trying to solve the problem for the end user here. In India, there are enough ways to sort of express an interest for a home purchase that you have. After that, what happens is that in most of the journeys, your lead becomes qualified and gets handed over to a developer or a broker. And at that point of time, problems start, because sometimes 10 brokers call you. That's something that's a nature of the beast. The portals have a business and a P&L to run, so they hand over the lead to X number of interested parties here. So that's the whole journey. I'm not really. I haven't heard of customers really complaining, hey, we don't know how to access the projects. In fact, the problem is on how do developers and brokers identify the serious customers, because 35% of customers, after leaving the lead, when we call them back in 3 minutes, they say we are not interested. So that's a different problem for these guys to solve. But AI, data analytics, etc., coming back to your question, is helping already in identifying the serious buyers more. And it's not the other guys are non-serious. Everyone is in a 12-month journey to buy a home. The guys who are early in the journey are sort of quote-unquote non-serious for the developers to buy, while those who are towards the end are serious. So the AI data analytics at least identifies those who are in the later part of the journey and helps them get more focus from the developers.
So my thought is here that the 12 months, as you mentioned just now, how can we accelerate that to a 3 months or a 6 months? Is there a lack of information he needs as a buyer to take a decision, because he has to go through a journey of his own to collect the funds, to apply for a bank loan, to sell an existing asset, or to move from lease to buyout, or whatever it may be. So this is where because I face the same problem every day, and I was just talking to Abhishek a few minutes back when we just met up that, to taming the client here or the buyer is the biggest challenge we have. And as you rightly mentioned, he's already on multiple websites and putting his leads, and he gets calls, then he disappears in thin air. And that's where I think the 7 million versus 6 million versus the 72,000 transactions which you're doing, that needs to be accelerated, and that will, I think, have a fantastic output to the economy, to the taxation, to the transactions, to various different industries, because more transactions, more houses sold. So I think the genesis of educating the home buyer here needs to be done something about it, to make his journey shorten, from where he is today and to buy out. So that's where I would say that something has to be done on PropTech front.
Completely agree. If no one else wants to add, I'll add a point there as well. So more than the time elapsed, the transparency, the trust, the information, that has to be increased. And I think companies are trying to do that. So there are steps in that direction. It is a big ticket buy. I myself would think 3 times or 4 times before buying an apartment for investment, leave alone an apartment for end use. But the quality of data, quality of information has to increase manifold. So a point taken there. And it might crash the timeline a bit if the information is made more readily available at a higher quality.
In the interest of time, I'll stop here and
Yeah, I can
maybe,
go on and on this topic.
yeah, we'll move on. Maybe you can carry on in the networking break. So just before we end, a quick rapid fire round to all. Just 1 minute answers. 2023 was the trend of the GPT. Everybody was talking about GPT. What is the trend to watch out for in 2024? What's your prediction?
Can I go last? Okay, chalo, theek hai, I'll go first. Okay, how many people have heard Shazam? You know what Shazam is? You hold your phone, it'll tell you who sang the song, which movie, everything. We're going to make that. We're already making it. You hold the building in front of hold the phone in front of the building, it'll tell you the rent, the tenant, when the building was made. That's a revolution. We're going to make that.
Amazing.
It's already in works.
Great. Akhil, your take.
I think with the Vision Pro and Quest 3 on both Apple and Meta's sites, I think AR VR is going to see a very big play, and I see connected buildings becoming the next big thing in real estate. I think that there's a gap between large companies that are dependent on real estate versus the real estate companies, like home and home interior companies are disconnected. We're going to see a lot of that mergers start happening now and transform the way people live in their houses.
Okay, great. What about you, Ankur?
So I see two things which in near future are going to get immediately addressed. That's in 24-25. We have seen it happening through Digi Yatra already. So I see a lot of AI and machine learning to come in the sector and to remove a lot of friction which is there. The friction, when I say like this tag also is a kind of friction to me when I am entering into a property. So I want to see a seamless, a more welcoming doors actually, where technology is better utilized, and that's going to be the future as per me.
Thanks, Ankur. What about you?
Feel, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, Rahul.
So I feel that the responsibilities of sellers, which is the brokers, will massively increase. The entire ecosystem will get consolidated, and the developers as well as the customers will demand a lot more. And you would see massive consolidation happening, and people trusting Propacity powered brokers as a lot more, and they selling more than an average broker. So I see that change happen.
Okay, great. And how about you, Sunil?
Yeah, so in 2011, Jeff Bezos asked all his functional leaders, how will you use AI/ML in your process? He didn't ask whether you will use AI/ML in your processes. So I think the same thing is going to happen with Gen AI going forward. That Gen AI is going to be used across the process continuum, in every process, right? From legal, HR functions, sales and marketing clearly. Even the AR, VR, the Apple Vision Pro, it has got an injection of Gen AI, data analytics, etc. So the AR, VR will be different for different customers, depending on what Gen AI tells them. So Gen AI is going to be horizontal, injecting into each and every of these processes, and that's what's the shape of things to come for most of the industries in the next 2-3 years.
So thanks, Sunil. I think we have come to the end of our panel discussion, and we've got pretty good insights from our panelists on what are the trends for this year and how it's going to be next year. So with a positive note, we would like to end this, and thank you everyone. Thanks for joining.